Welcome to another video of Henny's Garage. Today we are going to discuss about the frequently asked questions on the Mahindra 3XO. What are the most common complaints or issues that you see on the Mahindra 3XO? Well, to begin with, the first and the most irritating thing about the Mahindra 3XO ownership experience is the waiting time. So you have this brilliant car that you would want to buy, you have the financing ready. Even then, you'll have to wait for a minimum of 3 to 6 months, depending on which model you would opt for. The second problem that people generally talk about is the infotainment lag. So the infotainment system that is on the Mahindra 3XO, especially on the AX5 or the AX7 variants, has a bit of lag and it is definitely glitchy at times. It hangs in the middle of a music being played. One of the things that annoys me the most is the fact that when you press the voice assistance button on the steering wheel, it triggers Alexa instead of triggering Siri or Google Assistant when we are using Apple CarPlay or Android Auto. The third thing that is commonly discussed is the air conditioning. The air conditioning works very well at times and it is sometimes a hit or a miss. And coming to the fourth point, which is something that I love and hate at the same time, is the white interiors. The white interior makes the car look spacious, makes the car very roomy. It is visually very good to look at. There are multiple places where either the driver or the passengers will end up dirtying the car. At places like this, I wished there was a different type of material or the same material with a different color so that it could mask all that dirt. How spacious is the rear seat for 3 people? And is it good for family use? The first reason I bought this car was because of the powertrain. The second reason is because of the spacious rear seat. It can easily hold 3 people. We often travel to our native with 3 people in the back. So far, after driving 10,000 kilometers, what I've observed is the rear seats can peacefully hold 3 lean-size adults. It's a comfortable ride for longer distances as well. You also load the boot with a lot of stuff. How trustworthy is the Mahindra 3XO for reliability and long-term durability? Well, the short answer is nobody knows for sure. But here are a few things that will give you the confidence to go for it. I've given my vehicle for 2 services right now. The first service was at 2,000 kilometers and the second service was at 10,000 kilometers. The overall service experience was very clean. I could schedule the service not on the app that they say, but through WhatsApp, through the contact that my dealer had shared with me. So the AX7 did not come with Apple CarPlay. When I asked for the same in the service center, they told me that I would get the Apple CarPlay by the end of Q1 2025. And when I gave my car for service during that time, after the service, I had Apple CarPlay. So this is one evidence where they've committed something and they've delivered it on time. So every time I collect the car from service, I get a link on WhatsApp where I have to give the rating of how good the service was. There is also 2 or 3 calls that I would get from the service center asking about whether everything was okay. And if I have a problem with the car after service, they would ask me to come back, get it cleared, and then ensure that the customer satisfaction is high. So there are definitely steps that Mahindra has taken towards improving the customer experience. And speaking to the other owners, I can see that there are a lot of satisfied customers. So I had this one issue where the wireless charger was not working. It's not something that I would use, but I wanted it to work regardless. So the issue was when I keep my phone wireless charger compartment, the phone would charge sometimes and sometimes it wouldn't charge. Initially, I thought that it was because of the back case that I had on my phone. But regardless of whether it was with the case, without it, the phone would sometimes charge and sometimes not. So I took a video, sent it to the service center. They asked me to come to the service center where I got the car checked. They understood that it was not working. They did have to wait for the part to come in. But once the part came in, they ensured that it was changed. Is it working now? Well, even now, it is a hit or a miss. But there will be some aspects of the product which they'll also be not able to fix. It could be a design issue, it could be the choice of the components, it could be anything. But what we have to take into account over here is the fact that they've put in the effort to get it replaced, and that is by far the best that service teams can do. So they've done a decent job at it. Is it solving my problem? Not really. But have they tried? Yes. So marks for that. So the next question that came up was, how good is Mahindra service? Let me give you an example to explain this better. So if you are someone who owns the Mahindra 3XO diesel, You will know that whenever you're close to stalling the car, or let's say you stall the car, there is a huge sound that comes in. It feels like there is metal to metal contact. It feels like somebody rammed you from behind. So I wanted to know whether this is a problem with only my car or every other car that is sold. When I went to the service center, I showed them what this was and how this sound was coming in. There is this person from the test drive team who took the car out. I sat next to him and he tried a lot of things. He drove the car slightly hard. He tried so much to understand what the quantum of the problem was. And then he told me that he would actually check the bedding of the engine and the mounts as well. Whether he did that or did not do that in service is secondary. But the fact that there was effort that was going into understanding what the customer problem was, and then them having to look at it, analyze if something is different from in my car alone, and they came back to me and told me that there is no problem as such. When I spoke to other 3XO owners, what I've understood is there is definitely a sound that comes in all diesels. It could be because of the packaging, that there will be little clearance between the engine and probably the chassis itself. It could be, interacting or touching it somewhere whenever you're close to a stall, or when high torque is delivered and the mounts flex. So this example should have given you an idea of the effort, the ability to listen, and taking a problem to closure by the Mahindra service team. It could be different across different cities, but I can only speak from the experience that I've had, and so far it's been decent. How is the ride comfort and suspensions on Indian roads? Well, this is a question that would come up with any car, and it's no different for the 3XO. One word: excellent. Suspension is plush without being bouncy or too soft. I think that is a right mix to have. The damping seems well set. Whenever you are traveling on flyovers where there is a small slit there, where the car generally tends to bounce around, the 3XO does not have that problem. There is no weaving problem as such. The in-cabin noise isolation is amazing. Even for a diesel, the cabin isolation is excellent. It is so good that you'll find it difficult to hear the engine. That is point one. And second, because it is too quiet, there are small noises that will get amplified. These are noises that you generally not catch. For example, if there is a small bottle in your boot and it is rolling about, all of a sudden without music, you'll realize that, oh, there is a bottle there. Moving on to the next section. Now we'll talk about the value proposition against competition. So how does the Mahindra 3XO stand against competitions like the Tata Nexon, the Maruti Suzuki Brezza, and the Hyundai Venue? Well, to begin with, they got safety covered with 6 airbags that they're given. Regardless of which variant you go for, you will get 6 airbags for sure. They have excellent engine and drivetrain options. So they have their engine options covered, and all of their engines offer more power and more torque compared to the competition today. They have a very good torque converter that goes with their TGDI and with their MPFI engines. To be honest, I like the combination of the torque converter and the MPFI engine more than the TGDI variant. However, for the diesel, the option is limited to only AMT. If you're going for a car that is slightly more spacious, you can definitely consider it. The entry price on this car is very affordable. At around 8.5 to 9 lakhs, you will get the MX1 variant, which has steel wheels, a bunch of basic features, but it has things covered in terms of the powertrain, the drivetrain, and whatever you would need as the basic things that are required on the car. There is good value proposition in their entry segment at the price range that they are delivering it. The product placement and the value for money quotient on the 3XO is excellent, especially the AX5 variant. The AX5 variant offers everything that you would get on a 14 or a 15 lakh car at probably 12 and a half lakhs today. For me personally, the way the 3XO stands out against the competition is purely based on the value for money and the powertrain options. What is the actual cost of ownership? on the Mahindra 3XO. How expensive is the service? How expensive is it for fuel? And how expensive is the insurance and other things? The cost of ownership of the Mahindra 3XO is competitive, but it is definitely on the higher side than what you would expect from a Maruti Suzuki. So the annual service cost can range anywhere between 4 to 6k in your initial service periods, and as and when there is wear and tear components that has to be replaced, this cost will definitely go up. Overall, 4 to 6k is the range of service cost that you would expect. And since the service only happens every 10,000 kilometers or 1 year, spending 4 to 6k once a year should not be that big of a hassle. The insurance cost varies anywhere between 20 to 30k. This is for the renewal of your first party insurance. And after the third year, where you would have to renew both the first party and the third party, the cost can bump up slightly more. What is the real world mileage that you would get on your Mahindra 3XO? Let's say you're riding the petrol. The petrol will give you a mileage of 10 to 12 kmpl in the city, and on the highway you can expect anywhere between 14 to 16 kmpl. This is assuming that you are driving the manual. If it is the automatic variant that you're going for, this is where I hate to break it to you, but you can expect 8 to 10 kmpl in the city. If you're cautious of how you're putting down the power, you will get anywhere between 13 to 15 kmpl on the highways. The numbers on the diesel is slightly better, where you would get anywhere between 13 to 15 kmpl in the city and about 20 kmpl on the highway. So talking about my car, I have seen mileage of 22-23 kmpl when I'm on the Bangalore-Mysore highway. Having said that, on an average, when I travel to my native, the mileage that I've consistently seen is anywhere between 19 to 21 kmpl. The after sales and maintenance of the Mahindra 3XO. How is the post sales service experience on the Mahindra 3XO? Well, the answer is it varies by location. In places like Bangalore, where there seems to be better training, I see that the quality of service is decent. I did see a couple of places where when I had given the vehicle for service, there is cleanliness issues in certain areas. Can't really help it. The white interiors definitely don't hide a greasy hand that is put on the seat. But these are very small problems that I'm okay with overlooking, because overall, the interaction, the way they talk to people, the way they respond, and the intent to solve problems is there with the Mahindra service team today. This is from my experience, and I can definitely see the effort that is coming in. The quality of the components on the vehicle is also improving. This is something that you would feel and see when you sit inside the car and when you drive it. And with the likes of the Mahindra XUV 700 and the Thar Rocks that have come in, there is a need for Mahindra to ensure customers are happy. Are spare parts readily available? And what is the average cost of spare parts? The frequently used spares are readily available at most authorized service centers. However, if there are parts that has to be replaced, parts like that would generally take time to arrive. How is Mahindra's service network and how good is the coverage in my area? Well, Mahindra boasts about their service network, which has about 280 service centers across 197 cities. This does not seem like a lot. You can expect anywhere between 1 to 1.5 service centers per city. But these service centers would mostly be concentrated in tier 1 and tier 2 cities. Tier 3 cities will have a maximum of one car service center. To know how good the service network is in your area, you can search for Mahindra service networks. I'll also leave a link to that in the description. You can fill in the pin code of your city and mark the circumference within which you would want to see how many service centers are available. This should bring up the total number of service centers along with the details and address of these service centers made available. What's the average maintenance schedule and what is the average cost of service? The 3XO has its first service that is marked at 2000 kilometers. After this, the second service is at 10,000 kilometers. This is where there is oil change, the filter change, and most of the periodic maintenance that happens. At this point, the service schedule is every 10,000 kilometers or 1 year from your previous service date. Each of the service will cost you anywhere between 4,000 to 6,500 or 6,000 rupees, depending on whether you're driving a petrol or a diesel, and whether there are wear and tear components that has to be replaced, or if some part is given up. So overall, expect anywhere between 4 to 6,000, excluding wear and tear components. I'll also leave a link to my invoice in the description. You can download it and see how much I've paid for both the first and the second service. Now, moving on to the next section, the driving experience in the city and on the highway. How good is the 3XO to drive in the city? Well, the 3XO has ample lot of torque that is available, and the turbo kicks in at lower RPMs. What I loved about the petrol was the fact that it climbs revs very easily, especially the MPFI engine is my personal preference. The TGDI has ample lot of power that is on offer, and it climbs revs also very fast. You'll get from 0 to 100 fairly quickly. This is not something that you would generally do in the city. The fact that there is enough torque and power on offer makes it a good getaway car. Drivability in the city, especially on the manual, is good. The clutch is slightly sensitive and the bite point is sharp. On the automatic, what I've seen is the MPFI engine clubbed with the torque converter is one of the best drives in the city. The drivability is so good that even though I am more of a manual person, I would, if there is an automatic that I would pick, this would be the one. With the TGDI, but with the MPFI engine. Again, these are my views. If you disagree to it, or if you have more to add to this point, let me know in the comment section. So the drivability is great. The comfort over slightly broken roads is good, like I've mentioned before. The steering is very nimble and there is very low effort required, especially in the city. How good is the 3XO for long distance driving and for highway cruising? First thing that you would notice when you're on the highway on the 3XO is the fact that you don't even realize how you got to 100 kph. The vehicle climbs revs very easily, and if you are someone who is gentle on the throttle or who understands how the vehicle is delivering torque, you'll find it easy to extract the mileage out of this car. If you gather momentum and ensure that you don't brake unnecessarily, and if you carry that momentum while ensuring that you are safe, you can extract anywhere between 16 to 18 kmpl on the highways on the petrol, and anywhere between 20 to 22 kmpl on the diesel. And the engine does convey a lot of things to the driver. The power that is on offer speaks a lot about the character of the engine, and it is something that a good driver would connect with. So this was about the powertrain. The cabin, like I've mentioned before, is very quiet, and with light music, you will hardly hear any engine noise, any tire noise, and this is by far one of the best cruising experience that I've had. I would say it is way better than the likes of Tata Nexon and the Hyundai for sure. If you're someone who has bought the diesel, highway munching is so much more easier on the diesel. Like the extra torque that is on offer and the mileage that comes with it, you can cover distances with very low fuel stops. Now we move on to the next section, which is how's the trust, confidence and resale value of the Mahindra 3XO. Speaking about trust, with the introduction of the XUV 700, the Thar Rocks, the BE6, the BE9, I think Mahindra has positioned itself in a place where trust is something that they will have to retain and build upon if they want to grow in the Indian market. Clearly, they are doing very well in terms of sales. The after sales experience has improved. The dealership experience has been amazing. So the product specialist that I interacted with, his name was Mr. Sharanu Kenjan. The way he interacts with the customers, the joy of delivering a vehicle to the customer is something that I will take as a lesson for my life. Doing sales, service or any customer facing job is generally tough, and the way Mr. Sharan handled it is definitely inspiring and something that I'd like to learn from him in life. Now, trust also comes in because of what is offered on the product itself. Making 6 airbags as standard even on the base variant talks a lot about Mahindra's eye for safety. The vehicle comes with 6 airbags, ABS and ESD as standard. It has 5-star safety rating in crash. The quality of components that you would see, anything that you can see and touch, the color, material and finish on these components is really good. You can check out my detailed review in order to better understand how good the quality of the car is. Talking about the resale value, Mahindra today is building its brand value. and because of which you would definitely see the cost of Mahindras go up from here on, especially with the introduction of their B variant. You will see that Mahindra will now be perceived as a mass premium product, and because of which the brand value will also be driven up. If you think about it, the 3XO, which is a very good quality car, is one of the cheapest cars that you can buy from Mahindra. The cost of the lowermost variant of the 3XO will be around 8.5 to 9 lakhs. So their average selling price is well into the 15 or an 18 lakh category. So when they are operating in a category like this, the brand value grows. That depends on the product quality, of course. Overall, since the product quality is also up to the mark, I would definitely think that the Mahindra's brand value will go up, which will drive the resale value also higher and higher over the next coming years. If you look at any second-hand car websites, you will see that the Mahindra 3XO, which have covered anywhere between 10 to 15k or 30k, would be selling at 10 to 20% of depreciation over 1 to 2 years. I would say over a span of 3 years, you can expect a depreciation of 20 to 25% max. Henny's Garage was started with an intent to help racers go faster around the racetrack. Now we are using that expertise of ours to break down cars and motorcycles in a way where you understand what you are getting into. So if you enjoyed this content so far, please like this video. Let us know how you felt about this video in the comment section. Don't forget to subscribe. It is free for you, but it means a lot to us and will keep us motivated to bring good automotive content in front of you. If you are someone who is thinking of buying a car or a bike, you can check out our website. Reach out to us by filling a small form, and we will give you personalized suggestion on which bike or car would be the best fit for you. Thank you for watching. I'll see you again in the next one. Until then, ride safe and Godspeed.